Hi, I'm Skip Schwink. Welcome to the Sun King Podcast. In 1995, I moved to Los Angeles for the third time to try to make it in the entertainment industry. These are my stories of working with the biggest artists in the world. And I also partied my ass off the entire time. There's a fun story here I'm going to tell you. This is when I worked at Playboy TV. Now, in the 90s, Playboy TV was huge. I mean, they were doing a lot of videos. They were basically doing what Skinemax was doing. You know, they were doing these softcore things at night and that kind of thing. Beautifully shot, nothing graphic, all that, just, Skinemax style stuff. So I worked on a bunch of those. And I knew the producer that hired me. It's a guy I'd worked with quite a bit. So he got me into Playboy. And I did, a few projects with him. It was a great place to work. Their offices were in Beverly Hills. It was beautiful. So I'm working with Playboy. And I get to a point where they're like, hey, God, we don't have an actor for this one thing. And so they're like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, do I want to be in it? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, fuck it. Yeah, let's go. What do I got to do? And they're like, you're going to play a cop. And you and your buddy are going to rouse this prostitute, and you're going to have a threesome. And I was like, okay. Just did that on Tuesday. I wasn't the cop, though. They were. So the weirdest part of the whole thing was it's Playboy, and they're not going to see any of my privates, but there was a guy that still had to put a sock on my cock. It was this wardrobe guy comes up and he goes, hey, come on, we got to go in the bathroom. We got to put a sock on your cock. I'm like, I'm sorry, you got to do what now? I got to put a sock on your cock. And I'm like, we're not going to see it. Why are you? He's like, yeah, but if the camera does, we can't have any footage of it. And I'm like, okay, it's Playboy, got to keep everything above board. And I'm like, all right. So I'm in the bathroom and there's this gentleman and I'm standing there. Honestly, I'm standing there in a superhero pose with my hands on my hips. There's a picture of me as the character Alpha Dog I was in a movie. And the way I'm standing and looking off to the side with my head up like that, that's exactly how I was standing while this guy was putting a sock on my cock. So I come out of wardrobe simply with a sock on my cock, which I hope somebody puts into a rap song. I got a sock on my cock. By the way, I'm my own best audience. That's why I giggle the whole time. I just entertain the shit out of myself, even if it's not funny. Hey, I'm my own best audience. Like my dad used to always say, you're a legend in your own mind, buddy. So we do the thing. It works out great. Funny side note of that, the guy that played my police partner in this Playboy thing went on to be a villain on a couple episodes of 24 with Kiefer Sutherland. Anyway, so we do it, and I remember my brother getting a hold of me once it started airing, and he was like, hey, man, we were playing cards the other night, and your Playboy video came on, and I was like, that's my brother. And I was with a couple of the executives and owner of the company that I work at, and we're all drinking and playing cards at the house. And they see you, and they're like, that's your brother? I'm like, yeah. And you tell that guy if he ever doesn't make it in Hollywood, he's got a job with me. It's like, all right, I got to back up. But my other friends weren't as nice. By the time I got home and visited, I think it was like Christmas that year or something, I ran into a friend at a bar and was like, hey, man, I heard things are going in L.A. And I'm like, it's having a ball. And he's like, I heard you're doing porn. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah. So-and-so said that you're all in porn now. I'm like, and the guy that he said, I'm like, this motherfucker. He was somebody that would do that. He would just fucking just make up whatever. And I was like, I'm not doing porn, man. I was on Playboy TV. Yes, with softcore. There was no porn. There was no anything. It was goof. It was nothing. He's like, you did Playboy TV. And he was all excited about it and everything. And I'm like, apparently people are more excited about me being a potential porn star than working with all these, musicians. Case in point, I worked on a music video for the rap artist E40. Any E40 fans out there? And in the video, I can't remember what song it was, but in the video, it was at a mansion in the Hollywood Hills. And Tyson Beckford, the model, he was big in the 90s. I think he did a lot of guest stuff, did a couple movies. He was in it. And again, with a celebrity, him and I just hit it off like we were just buddies for life. He really was. I mean, I really liked that guy quite a bit. We had a blast chatting, and I was just like, hey man, I just did a Playboy video. I did Playboy TV, and he's like, did you really? He's, I've been thinking about doing that. What was that like? And I'm like, oh, they're great. A good bunch of people, and I was like, you could check out, because by that point the video had been out. I had a copy of it, and he's like, you can check it out if you want. He's like, oh man, can I? Does that be cool? And I'm like, yeah, I'll bring it in tomorrow, and you can just pop it in at Video Village. Just don't show anybody. I don't necessarily want to get that out. And he's like, no, I get it. So the next day, I get to set and I see Tyson, and I'm like, hey, I got the video. Here you go. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. I'll get back to you later. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm walking around, and I come by where Video Village is. I'm kind of passing by it, and he's there, and he yells out, Skip! And I look over, and it's him, Tyson, and like half the crew is around him, and they're at a monitor, and the whole crew is just going, Skippy! Yes! Nice! And I knew exactly what was happening. I'm like, this motherfucker showed them the Playboy video. It was, and there were like female crew members over there going, Skip! And I'm just like, oh, God damn it. It's like, Tyson! You motherfucker. And he's laughing his ass off. Couldn't be laughing harder. A fun guy. Had a blast with him. Have yet to ever get him back. So if I have the chance, I probably would. But that was at the time when I was doing, jobs with Playboy TV. So another job came up with Playboy TV. And this is the one that got me fired. So when you started Playboy TV, like I said, I knew the producer. And I had known this because I'd worked with them for several times, obviously. And when you start there, they pull you in a room. And they give you the rules of what it is to work at Playboy TV. And the number one rule is can't date any of the models. And so when I'm getting interviewed for the job, they're just like, you can't date any of the models, this and that. And I'm like, man, I can't even keep tags on my car. No Playboy model is going to want to hook up with me. Well, I think we're fine there. And they're like, oh, okay, great. So this, the last gig I did with them, it was for a video called Twins in the 90s. If you can dig it up and look it up. And there were, I think it's the two young ladies that are on the cover, if I'm correct, blonde twins. One of those sisters, I'm not saying names, although I am telling you exactly where to look for it. There's something about her. I'll get to it in a minute. I'm jumping ahead. Let me go back. So my job on the shoot was to take a 15-passenger van and go pick up all the Playboy models coming into town from various states to do this shoot in Los Angeles. So I had to go and pick up a dozen Playboy models, and not just Playboy models. They were twins, all of them. It was the theme of the shoot. And so I'm picking up twice as many as I normally would work with. And they were hilarious to drive around. It was just first of all, the most beautiful women I've ever been around in my life. It was unbelievable. They really were. But they were so funny. They just immediately brought me into their world. I was their driver, and I was just me again. And they loved that. I wasn't trying to hit on them. I wasn't trying to get anything. I wasn't. I wasn't being anywhere near sleazy. I was just being a good guy and having a laugh with them. And I was like, yeah, they were talking about how their boyfriends suck and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, guys fucking suck. We're awful. I mean, honestly, I'm with you guys. I mean, I really am. I hope I don't have a daughter, blah, blah, blah. I would have to protect her so hard. But now I have a daughter, and I'm so happy I do have her. So we got along, and I got along with one of them a little bit better than the others. A lot bit better than the others. And I'm not saying any names. And we hung out, and she was great. Oh my God, I had so much fun. She came down to the beach and hung out and stayed at my place. I took her to some parties. We went to this party in Palos Verdes, and she was just having a blast. And we were that couple at the party that you're having a house party, everyone's getting hammered, and in your 20s, there's a couple that's making out everywhere. That was her and I. We were just all over each other. And that's all you're going to get out of that. And it was a wonderful fling. And that's really what it was. We stayed in contact a little bit after she left. But, she lived in Kansas or something. I don't really honestly remember. It was a very, very long time ago. And she was a sweetheart. Yeah. And so I'm back at work. And I get called into the office by the producer. He sits me down and he says, So I got to ask you a couple questions. I'm like, and I know exactly where he's going, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just smiling. I feel like I'm a little kid about to burst. And he's like, so there's a rumor that you stayed in the hotel with one of the models, and I just smiled and was like, yep. Okay, all right. Did you date this model? Yep. Okay, all right. Did she stay at your place? Yep. Okay. All right. You know you're not allowed to do that. You remember, right? Yep. Remember, I'm just smiling the whole time. And he's starting to smile more and more as this goes along. And he says, okay, all right. You know I got to fire you, right? Yep. Okay. Was it worth it? My smile grew 10 times bigger. Yep.
Mob shit. From the beginning. We invented this shit. What do we do? Boy, I helped pioneer this.